So I got a random question for you. Do you think that, and look at me weird, do you think that the legalization of marijuana and the evolution of geek culture will have a reciprocal relationship over the next decade? Like, not from a capitalistic standpoint, because comic shops have been weed spots since the 80s, the inevitability of mile-high hooters, whatever. But, I mean, like, is it weird just to have the counterculture be gentrified, to have comic books actually have like cheerleaders and you know, normal-looking kids as well as everybody else in the pop punk? And you think it's gonna work out? Like, there won't be nerds anymore; it'll just be everybody.
I kind of lost you talking about legalizing weed and what? That's synonymous.
I think it's proof we'll always be nerds.
Yeah. Kind of the rise of geek culture is synonymous with legalizing pot.
I think that. Is it weird?
I don't know, I'm high, man.
Like, with the legalization of marijuana and the evolution of geek culture, Comic-Con getting bigger, and you know, you're having geek bars now, bars that are comic shops that open up bars, and you know, it's just becoming a more accepted social construct, not just in terms of there being an AV club, but like people going out and like, I'm going to talk about Saga at the bar this weekend. Like, do you think? I don't know. Do you think that do you see that in your world that people are? It's normal.
No, I'm so far removed from any kind of
socialization.
That's a real geek you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't smoke or drink so I.
I'll tell you what though, maybe I could get a part-time job in the first season, and then we have like, you know, the stunt counter that we use now, so there's more room. So in the off season, I could definitely turn that into a bar, right?
A little hookah bar, yeah.
It's definitely not. But that doesn't mean we can't do it.
New Jersey's got to be on the top 10 for this to happen.
It's going to happen though? New Jersey?
Okay.
You open?
I don't smoke weed either, but I certainly like talking about it.
Bryan, you're kind of the voice of the non-comic book fan in there. You know, you love all that stuff, I'm sure, but you know, you kind of have this detached commentator status on the show.
I'm definitely that guy. Yeah, I think that's, aside from putting him in his place every 30 seconds, I'm most valuable for asking the questions that, say, the viewer who isn't super familiar, who isn't a super geek, may ask as well, you know? Because I genuinely don't know. You know, there's a lot of stuff that these guys talk about that I don't know what they're talking about. So me asking, I gain the knowledge, and at the same time the viewer, you know, sort of gets filled in as well.
You guys do the podcast Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Yeah.
How did that come to your minds? What made you start doing that? Like, just where did it come from?
I moved back from California and I had no direction at all. And I asked Kevin if he thought doing a podcast would be something, you know, that he thought Walt and I could do, and our friend Bryan Quinn. And at the time I was like at a psychiatric low, you know, like I was either going to hang myself or I was going to do a podcast. So Walt agreed. And normally I quit everything I do within a couple of weeks, give up, you know, but this I didn't, so here we are, you know, 4 years later,
Right.
Doing the show. And it was mostly just to fill up some empty time and be able to talk to my friends and maybe talk about subjects that other people, affect other people as well. And the number of emails we get that are like, you know, like the girl said at the panel today, she was like, I was really depressed. Like the number of emails we get that like I was in a dark place and tell him Steve Dave helped me through it. I was depressed and I listened to the, you know, like I get to escape for a little while. To me, that's a big deal, you know, like it was a byproduct that I went into it for selfish reasons. I wanted to, you know, deal with my own issues, not knowing that, you know, as time went on, people would be able to relate and would be like, you know, I have depression. I wasn't able to figure out how to tell my family, so I played this podcast for them. They wanted your podcast for them, and now they get it. So to me, that was an unexpected benefit to doing the show and keeping up doing the show.
Yeah. So when you like for up and coming podcasts, you know, like ourselves, you know, like what's your advice to us, like, you know, for other podcasts out there?
No Kevin Smith.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We obviously had a leg up when we started.
Right.
Most people aren't going to get a tweet from Kevin saying, "Hey, my friends are doing a podcast." And we had also appeared on some podcasts prior to that people liked. But my thing would be consistency and talk about what you want to talk about. Don't, if people write in, they're like, "That was boring," or talk about this, go fuck yourself. Then start your own podcast.
Basically, don't listen to me, Mike.
Yeah, consistency and just talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Great.
I really found that fascinating. I've struggled with depression too, and I found that doing, having the ability to write, and having the ability to do what I love to talk about, I love movies. Different. Is that what it was for you? Just being able to be with your friends and have like a normal activity once a week, or
It was something to look forward to. It was something that I knew, no matter like how down I was, like two of my best friends in the world, like we're gonna laugh about stuff. And it's like not every episode is, you know, a yucca minute. Some are serious and some are like, you know, again, I want to hang myself. Not so much anymore, but once in a while. So I found that, like, since I wasn't, like, I had gotten back from California and I'd been seeing a shrink for 2 years. I didn't want to go and start a relationship with a new psychiatrist and rehash everything and go over the same stuff again. I had two guys who already knew me, and I could talk to them about it. And a lot of, again, I mean, nothing against psychologists, but a lot of times they just lead you into talking about it. They don't give you opinions, they don't give you advice. They, may ask a question and then they let you go off, And that's kind of what Tell 'em Steve Dave was for me in the beginning at least, just having that ability to vent. Know that you had that. That was great.
And I guess, the psych major too, the best psychologists in my opinion are friends. The best psychologist in the world is someone that's just going to be able to listen and be your friend and take the time to know you. So,
who knows you enough that they know where you're coming from and are close enough that they're honest with you, It's not like, how many times have you hear a day like, "Hey, how you doing?" Nobody really gives a shit how you're doing, and you always say like, "Oh, I'm all right," even though, you might be, loading the 6 children.
you never answer.
Yeah.
They don't know how.
Yeah. So when you have time to talk and podcast to your friends and get everything out there, and nobody's like, "Okay, your hour's up," it's helpful. I think it's really helpful.
Opening titles in the show, were you guys able to choose the characters that you portrayed as in the opening titles?
Opening sequence? Yeah. Year one, they asked us if there was a character to become what information we had. I just put Godzilla. I think maybe I was watching Godzilla the night before. I don't remember why.
Yeah, I had no idea, so Walt suggested mine. I don't know.
Nick at Dynamite has definitely given us an opportunity to do a sequel to it. He definitely wants us to do it. It's just right now, just get it done. Yeah, we hope to.
What's been one of the craziest customer interactions that you've had in the store, either on or off camera?
I just on camera was the lady who brought in the dolls, who treated her dolls as if they were children. Who knows if she was just playing it up because she knew she was going to be on TV. But even when we weren't filming, she was acting. She remained in character if she was the main character. And so that was a little creepy.
For me, it was off camera. I used to, when Kevin had a store in Los Angeles, in Westwood, out of context it sounds weird, but I used to hang out with homeless people a bit. And so this one guy would come to the store, and he came in one time and acted in a way that he had never acted before. He was like in a wheelchair, and he was on something, and he parked himself almost directly in front of the entrance because we had a TV up there, and he was watching TV, and he would nod out, and he would start cursing like crazy, and then come back to. And then he would nod out and just start cursing like crazy and come back to, and it went on for probably a lot longer than you would have allowed it. Eventually I had to be like, let me just roll you into the back, you know? He was probably the strangest guy to walk through the doors.
My wife couldn't care less about comics. Loves the show. Who do you intend the audience to view the show, and are you surprised at what the wide stretch of the audience is?
So she has no interest in comics books.
She hates my comic book collection, so she wants it out of the house.
I think that is that's got to be a sign of something that.
Kind of divorce.
No. I think for us, well, maybe for him, but for us, it has to be a sign that something is being done right. If you can capture the interest of somebody who doesn't care anything about comics or toys, and you could still give them, what is it, like 20 minutes of entertainment out of that? I mean, that's actually, I like to hear that more than people who would like say, I'm really into comics, I like your show. To me, it's more neater to hear someone say, I don't even care about comics, and I'll watch your show.
Yeah, we hear that one, like, I do cons with Ming and Mike, you know, we'll do a couple cons a year around the country, and we hear that people have no interest, but they like the chemistry. They were like, I could do without the comics altogether. I just like you guys talking and breaking each other's balls and stuff like that. And I find a lot of parents watch it with their kids too. A lot of parents come in and say, you know, we have to DVR it because it's on at midnight, but we watch it religiously every week. Or the other thing is Netflix binging. You know, like they'll sit there and just binge on Netflix because they find it funny. You know, they just think it's funny.
Any chance of an extended home video release of the show with, because I still have
I would find funny, you know, if you want to leave it uncensored and stuff. Like Walt says, though, I mean, if AMC was going to do it, you figure you would have heard something by now.
Yeah.
Nobody ever mentions it.
So the average show, how long does it take you guys just to kind of create one show? What's the time frame on that?
It takes from July 7th to September
24th this year.
24th to do 16 shows.
Okay.
So yeah, less than a week a show, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are people who think we shoot like one show one day. I'm like, get out of your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
You know, it takes more than that. But yeah, generally we get the 16 shows within 2.5 months or so, I guess. You know, somewhere around there.
Do you have to shut things down with the actual store, or do you have to completely shut it down?
Not completely shut it down.
down.
Where it's able to remain open on a somewhat limited basis. Like if the people who are in the store agree to stay in the background, if they're in there when we're ready to roll, they have to come in realizing though that they may not be able to leave though until that sequence is done.
And there are people who have gotten annoyed. They're like, are you kidding me? I've been here for an hour and a half. I want to leave.
You're gonna be here another 3, so.
Yeah, so we don't. But while we're filming the actual sequence, they're not allowing people to walk in and out because the background will be different and everything. So, but as soon as the whatever we're filming is done, right, we do 3 things a day. In between, the store's open for regular business.
Did you ever have someone that you locked in the store and you said you can't leave, and then they just pretended like they had emergency and said, "Fuck you, I'm going anyway"?
I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure that they had to leave. They had no idea that they were signing up for a 2-hour to sit and look at a comic book in the background for 2 hours.
There was a lady this season, she came in and with her daughter. Her daughter's probably 19 or 20. And they asked her, do you want to be on the show? And the mother was so suspicious. I mean, she was, in her mid-40s? And she was like, what is this? What is this show about? I've never even heard of it. What's the show about? And I said, it's torture porn. And she looked at me. No, she didn't laugh. she said, turned to her daughter. She goes, I don't want to be in this. Let's go. And the daughter convinced her to stay. She didn't, but obviously I wasn't allowed to say anything else to her.
What do you guys think about away from comic book movies? What do you guys think about the cancellation of the Fantastic Four series?
Cancellation of what?
Fantastic Four series.
I mean, come on. I mean, has it really been canceled?
Do you think so?
For a couple minutes.
Fantastic Four what?
They're canceling
Marvel and Fox are mad, and Fantastic Four is getting the crossfire.
Right? I mean, just like Wolverine dying, just like them phasing out all the X-Men.
Pro wrestling's fake.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Didn't they kill Human Torch a couple years ago? And a big Sackbag edition, and he was the quickest death ever. And he came back in like 3 issues later.
By the light.
Same
By
thing.
the light.
Yeah.
Same thing with Wolverine. What do you guys think about the death of Wolverine? You think he's really gone? That's it.
Yes. he's as dead as Superman and as again Human Torch and all the other characters that they said they were. I mean, I imagine there's only one death that has to remain a true death. Because if the Uncle Ben comes back, then Spider-Man doesn't need to carry on and he can retire.
With all of these mega events that happen in comics, you guys would be the best ones to comment on it. Are people like to the point they're so fed up with these obviously hyped up events that they just don't buy it out of spite? Or do they feel obligated to buy it because somebody made something of it?
I think a little bit of both. I think that the DC Marvel machine is really good at creating hype. It's really good at creating a level of like, if you don't read this one, you're going to be left out. So. But then on the other spectrum, there are customers that come in and say like, you know what, I've been burned too many times, so I'm not going to fall for it this time. See you later.
Yeah, it's been 2 decades of me getting burned ever since the death of Superman.
All right, so your show is the only survivor of the AMC's onslaught of unscripted, and I'm not talking insular. I just noticed it's happening all over the place. A lot of reality TV shows kind of suck because they're contrived, and you don't really feel like they're real. When I watch your show, it does feel. I mean, you guys have a history, and I've listened to your commentary and stuff's on there, but like. It feels like you guys really like comics, or you really, like each other, and I think that's the key to a show. I think that any reality show that like you really get to know someone with, or it's not fake, it's going to be good. And how true to life is your show? Does it feel like there's the show, and then there's when you're at the store on December through January, or is it?
You got to be honest. Is Adam West coming to the store December through the other way?
They don't count.
But I mean, is our friendship and our relationships different from on the show than off the show? Absolutely not. I mean, we bust Ming's balls relentlessly, even harsher than when the cameras aren't there. That doesn't mean that he's not a dear friend and that we don't love him to death. And bust Mike's chops. I mean, I love it. I mean, to me, it's like. That's a sign of affection for our group is to bust each other's chops. It's a way of showing without giving us. We don't give hugs.
It's a term of endearment.
we show our affection in a different way.
It's the toughest love ever.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but is there a contingency plan in case AMC goes, we don't like this anymore? Is there any other network saying like, hey, we got a life raft over here?
I don't know. I wouldn't know that question. But I mean, if the contingency, what he said and you said, it's probably just the stash for me and Mike. I mean, that's what we did before there was a show. I mean, I'm sure that's what we'll do after there's a show.
Back to the unemployment line for me.
I guess we keep going?
I think that was it.
Guys, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.